Hey guys, it's Bailey Wiki and it's August 4th, 2025. And since last month's coverage of some Dungeondraft mods was so well received, I have a treat for you today. As you know, we covered two new mods from developer Uchideshi on Discord. I'll leave links in the video description. And those mods were so simple and yet so powerful that I've been designing with them in my own work. Well, I was so inspired by Uchideshi's work that I hunted him down on Discord and pitched him an idea for another mod, convert objects to patterns. I may have already lost some of you with that title, but I promise you're going to love this. Well, Uchideshi developed a first version within just a few days of me pitching it, and that version is now available for all of you for free. Again, I'll link it directly from the video description. So this video is going to show you a few techniques you can use with this new mod, and I found all the use cases thrilling. It's like you're getting a tiny bit of Photoshop directly in Dungeondraft. What's that mean? Well, I've set the timestamps for all the things I'm going to show you. You're going to design and experiment with me in real time. So if you're ready, let's establish what you need to get set up and then jump into the rest of the tutorial. Okay, so to get started, you're going to need to update some existing mods that you may be using, and then you're going to download this one. So if you've never been there, if you go to cartography assets, you go to software specific, down to Dungeondraft, you'll find mods and scripts. That will get you to this page with all of these Dungeondraft mods, and you can sort it by newest, for example. Really, foundationally, you need to do a couple things. First of all, make sure you're in the latest version of lib. That's the kind of the core library a lot of these mods use. You want to get the latest version of that, or you'll come up with some conflicts. You also, if you're using it, which I recommend this, I use it all the time, Essential Utils mod, you'll also want to get the latest version of this as well. It patches some conflicts that can be created potentially between these different mods. So Essential Utils and lib, update those. Here's the one that we're going to make sure we download new, convert object to pattern. This is the one that Uchideshi just developed. You just download that into your mods folder. You extract it right there, and it should be in the right place for you. And then I'm going to use, or you're going to be seeing me using some of the mods I showed you last time, also by Uchideshi, the colorable objects and paths, which we're going to probably use that less, maybe not at all, but I've got it installed. And then the blurred edges. This one's really important because a lot of what I'm going to show you today lets you merge these objects using blurred edges. So make sure you get this one as well, the latest versions of each. In your actual file systems folder, here's an example of a zip file. I'm going to right click it. I use 7-zip and I just say extract here, and that will turn this into a folder. And you'll know you have it right when right underneath you've got the mod files and icons and things that it might be using. So all of these have their files right there under the folder. Then you want to just launch Dungeondraft, just a regular Dungeondraft instance. You can go to your mods and then you'll see the ones that you've installed if you did it right, and you can just select them or unselect them here. Once they're activated, then you can open up your Dungeondraft map or open a new one, and they'll be ready to use. Okay, so we're going to use the release that just came out. You're looking at the Muddy release. We just released this today. This is available for you to come get, and you can go ahead and use this or use anything else because it'll work not just with my stuff, but really with anyone else's that you use. So as we think about what we want to do here, what this new mod gets us is the ability to manipulate objects and to isolate objects, to be able to mask them and cut out certain features that we want to use. We can kitbash, we can do lots of stuff. So what we're going to do first is we're going to just pull up some muddy ruins, and we'll grab, which one looks like a good starter? Yeah, I think this will do good for what we want to test out today. Put it at layer 300. We'll drop it into the mud here, and let's see what we can do here. So first I want to test out just putting rubble in, right? So I'll search for some rubble. I've got this one here. Now this is an object and it's fixed. So if I just stick it in there like that, it doesn't really look like it's part of the scene. It's not even the right color, right? Which we have now solutions for, thanks to Uchideshi. And so what we want to do here is go to the select button and say change object to pattern. What we've done is we've basically made that a pattern. You notice it disappeared. Just so you know, if you have an object at level 400, it'll make a pattern at level 300. There's reasons for that, but that is where it is. So we just brought it back up to the front. I deselected the ability to select any objects just so they don't get in the way or create conflicts for us. And you'll see me do that a lot through this testing. So now we're going to our pattern tool, strangely enough, even though we just placed an object. And you can see that we can just start manipulating this like any other pattern. It doesn't tile, just so you know, in case you're wondering. If I drag out the handles further out, it doesn't tile at all. But here we're just kind of conforming it to the artwork. We're saying, okay, where does this look kind of natural? That looks pretty good. Now we're going to select it, and we're going to use the tool I showed you before. We're going to enable the edge blur, and it makes it look automatically really weird. We're going to make some adjustments here really quick. We're going to adjust the blur range and the blur smoothness until the edge of those rocks is just a little bit blurred because we want to merge them into the rest of the artwork. Okay, so just making some little fine-tune adjustments. We'll even use the little fine-tuning arrows there. And this looks like it's about as good as we need it to be. So let's select it again, and this time we want to change the color. So I've already got a color in here, but I'll show you how I did that. You hit the plus sign, you go to your eyedropper, pick a color that you want to start with. We're just looking for something generally in the family. You can see it's relatively dark. I'm just going to lighten it just a little bit. And boom, just like that, we took an object and we merged it into the scene. And we could also like really fine tune this. You can move the little points around as much as you want, but let's try some other assets here. Let's put some of these gnarly roots in here. Normally, if I just drop this on, the roots kind of would just sort of sit on top of everything, and maybe I don't really want that effect. So let's select it. We'll go down to change object to pattern. This is the only way you can engage this right now from a UX perspective. I've been talking to Uchideshi about maybe alternatives to that. If you use the tool a lot in one session, it can get a little redundant. But if you're just using it here and there, it's not bad at all. And let's just do the same thing. Let's adjust our roots. I kind of like them coming up of the wall a little bit, but not over top of it. And do the same thing over on this side. That's pretty good. And we'll just get some kind of fine tuning around the edges here. Notice when you drag it out, it just gets it nice and far away from the artwork. That's good too, because when you go to make the edges blurred, notice we'll click it. What's interesting, it took the same blur settings as our last one, which is kind of interesting, kind of helpful. I'm not sure I like the color necessarily yet, so let's maybe just go in and adjust that. Just kind of move it around until we see a color that we like. Yeah, just maybe a little bit less orange probably, just given the color of the original artwork. And it's already got its edges faded, so it's already fading into the wall in the way that we want, right? So let's do this now. Let's copy it just to make it super simple. And let's rotate this around, kind of get it in the general spot. Because I'm like, hey, if we've got roots coming out one side, why can't they be coming out the other side of the wall? And since we have all this control, like we can totally do that. So we'll just drag and create new points where we want to. I really like that I can have it come right to the edge of that piece. This is great. Pull this over. We'll hug it close. Since we've already got the fading established, we can just manipulate these points and make it come nice and close. And this is great. Look at this. Just kind of wrap it around the shape as much as we like. A little bit more fine tuning. We won't try to get it perfect for this, but I mean, that's pretty awesome. For two pieces of artwork that weren't meant to be that flexible, and to be able to do that with them is It's pretty great. All right, so let's keep experimenting. Let's drop in a stone floor. Maybe we want a different floor underneath us, or we want to establish a floor because it's just kind of mud right now. And here we got another piece that's got a good texture. It doesn't match yet, but it's got a great texture that I think I want to work with. So let's just drop it in place. And let's make sure we turn on our objects once so we can select it, and then we will change it to a pattern, and then we'll turn off the object selector. Okay, so now it's a pattern. Let's start making some adjustments. You got to hover around till you see its hitbox. You can see if there's other patterns. You've got to try to avoid those. And yeah, I don't want those big stone pieces there. So you don't have to get this perfect because again, you can make all your edits later as well and kind of fine tune it. So yeah, this looks good. Let's do the same thing with the other side. And pull that over to there, leave kind of some of that stuff in place. All right, so we've got this thing kind of started, right? So let's do our same thing. Let's enable the blur. This is going to give us the same color and blur settings as earlier, and that might be a good thing. Actually, seems to be saving us some time here. Let's send it to the back because I want this floor to be kind of underneath some of those other pieces. I think that looks great. See the shadows are still cast over them. It just looks really good. And let's go ahead and edit our points again. You can see it takes a little bit of delay sometimes. And we're just going to kind of pick up the pieces of the artwork that we want, the textures that we care about, and everything else is good. I mean, that's a great floor that looks very natural. Looks like very much it's part of the design as if it was created for that. So I think we've got a pretty good start here. Let's look at some other techniques. Well, what else can we do? Well, we can also like do floor ornamentation, I think here, right? And like some inlays. So let's drop in one of these just elvish ornaments, just as something to use. Let's switch back to our object so we can change it to a pattern. And yep, change it to a pattern. All right, now we've got a pattern. Let's make it so we can't select our objects. And let's move this to the back, and then let's move that floor to the back behind it. Okay, there. Now we've got everything in the right order. And let's just enable the edge blur. It's going to give us some of that coloring and things from earlier. Let's change this so it merges even more. Let's make it less opaque. So now it's like kind of merging in like it was painted into the floor. Let's find the hitbox for this, and let's just create. Let's start by creating just an edge around it where the hitbox is just kind of hugging the artwork, because we want to fade edges, and if the hitbox points are too far away from the artwork, it won't even fade the artwork, which is great. It's another thing that you can control. All right, so let's give it a blur range and see if we can start to eat into this floor inlay just a little bit. That's pretty good. Okay, so let's go back to edit mode, and then let's just like artificially push in to this just to show like real kind of organic wear on it, right? And that's so good. Like that's very great, very natural, right? You can imagine when that floor was built one time in the long past, it was beautiful, but now it's just it's heavily faded. All right, so what else can we do? I suspect we can bury things in the ground now, taking objects that normally were complete objects and like burying them in, dirt and sand and mud. So let's drop this chest or this trunk in here, and we'll select it, change it to a pattern, and then let's see, how do we want this thing to be buried? Let's just kind of cut into it. Just say it's going to be kind of buried that way. And let's make it so we don't conflict. And of course, we have other patterns already in this map that we're conflicting with. So I just click out in the blank space and reselect it. And let's go ahead and enable its edge blur. And we'll decrease that range a bit. This is a place where we could actually play with the blur direction. I'm not going to do that right now. I'm just showing you how when you drag out the points, you can move the blur effect away from certain edges. So it's kind of a manual way to adjust which edges are blurred. There's another way I'll show you here in a bit. But just like that, we've got a trunk that's it's been buried in the sand. Now, maybe we want to like create a drop shadow for the trunk. Maybe we want to create more separation from at least the part that's exposed to the air. So we could turn it to black, 50%. Let's try this again. Let's enable the edge blur here. For some reason, the other one doesn't work, but now on our override color, we'll go black, 50% opacity, and we've got a nice drop shadow. And we'll just kind of tuck it under there just to create a little bit more of a separation, right? Okay, what else can we bury? Let's just try a skeleton. Always want buried skeletons, right? A lot of times you don't have it in the artwork. Like all these pieces of skeletons, they all sit on top of the ground because they don't really fade. Now, some of the skeletons I gave you in this release automatically fade. Let's drop this guy in here and make sure we can select him and then convert him to a pattern. Okay, so we've got our pattern. Let's send him back behind that. Oh, behind that crate maybe. All right, so let's go to our edit pattern tool. Let's find his hitbox, which we have a lot of conflicts around him, so it might take some finesse here. And okay, now that we've got it, let's just start deciding where we want him to fade. And I think I want the pelvis and arms to kind of fade into the mud or the dirt. Yeah. I really like that I have control of the artwork in a way that we really didn't have before. And it's really, really powerful, especially when you're kit bashing. Able to take anything and merge it to anything else. So we just turned on enable edge blur and it automatically just kind of gave us the right effect. I think that's pretty good for having artwork that wasn't intended for it. That's pretty good. Now there's other techniques we can use to continue to merge it. Not the least of which is just giving it the same color of the ground. You can see it just really looks like it's really in the mud, right? I love that. All right, what else can we do? Okay, so let's say we want to just grab like the texture from an object, or we want to isolate something out of it, right? So we've got this like stone shape. It's just kind of random. There's only certain places you could put this in a map, just given its shape. But we're going to manipulate it now by turning it into a pattern. And, we're going to kind of make it do what we want it to do now. So we'll change it to a pattern and we'll go ahead and edit the points here. Yep. We won't try to get it perfect for our efforts today, but we'll get close enough. The fade edges really erases a lot of sins too, being able to have things merge together just kind of naturally. And just like that, we've got like this ornate pillar or something, right? Some kind of masonry that the original artwork was not in these dimensions. So now we can use this in a lot more places. So let's enable the edge blur. This time we'll do the blur direction. I just want to show you what it looks like. So let's kind of adjust it generally where we want. And then, so what blur direction does is it makes the blur only come from one direction, from top down, left or right, or some variable between. You can go in 360 degrees. And as you change that, it will make the blur affect certain edges, right? So in this case, we're actually good with coming from the top down, and it won't impact the other edges. And we'll just give it a really slight blur there. So what I want to do is I want to merge this in. Let's give it one of our preset colors. That works. Feels like it's made out of material that the environment was made out of, or it's taken on that color just because it's been in this environment for so long. And you can scale it just like any other pattern. And I just wanted to just feel like maybe it was like buried. Maybe it's part of another larger part of a building. It's just buried. So we're just kind of making some quick additions, making sure that it's calculating properly and applying the fade. But, I mean, this kind of control is great. This is pretty delightful. And just like that, we've just got this like piece of masonry, this part of a ruin that's sitting over in the corner. Okay, let's see, what else can we do? Well, if you use my stuff, Bailiwiki stuff, we've got these terrain patches that we use for a lot because they're high density detail with minimal effort. And we build them in circles because those are the most flexible shape. And then they've got feathered edges around them in certain places so that you can merge them together and you can make really complex maps with a ton of detail really quickly. But they are also constrained to this circle shape or, the majority of the artwork that's in it. So let's drop one of these in here. And by the way, there's hundreds of these terrain patches. I just looked up grassy, but there's so many of these. And let's change that to a pattern. This is a really big object. And now let's start editing our points. So yeah, let's go around. I'm going to keep that shadow that tower is casting. It really gives it that three-dimensionality. So let's hold on to it. We'll see if this all just kind of magically works out in our favor when we're done. And I'm just going to just kind of follow the artwork around. Again, I'm not trying to be perfect right now. We'll make adjustments later. I'm just trying to get the basic shape. I don't want to leave any transparent pixels underneath, so I'll try to avoid doing that. So there's some transparent pixels. We'll back off of those. Trust me, I have a good feeling this is going to work out. I'm going to keep these shadows. I think that all works. Let's avoid that transparency thing again. And let's just kind of hug the shadow here. Okay, yeah. All right, so now let's select it. Get rid of that. Okay, so now we're selecting our pattern and let's go to enable edge blur. And don't worry, I think we can fix this. It's such a big shape that these ratios are going to make some big changes. Notice I still have blur direction on. So if I turn that off, I start to get the right behavior. So if you're not getting the right behavior, it's only fading certain areas. It's probably because your blur direction is still on. Okay, so now that we've got that off, let's make our general adjustments. Let's kind of tighten this up. Okay, so already, I mean, look at that. We've got a tower and trees applied to something that wasn't designed for that. Okay, so now let's make our adjustments. This just lets us merge the two patterns, the two textures together. And we're just trying to get rid of gaps or any oddities, trying to make them look like they've been naturally merged. I mean, you can see how powerful this is. If you've been designing a Dungeondraft for a while, like I have, this is like next level stuff. I mean, I love it. Get some of those little stone textures more visible. I mean, this kind of control is just outstanding. Here we go. We've got the tower visible. Let's make a few adjustments down here. I'm pretty excited about this. That is pretty excellent. Okay, so let's see. What else do we want to play with? Let's just try kitbashing. All right, so we're gonna look up these muddy ruins, and we've got these like pre-built components, but maybe we want to create a ruin that's sort of a combination of these. So we'll drop that in, and then let's find, this is probably good. It seems like that would be part of the same ruin. You can see it doesn't quite merge with it exactly like we want, but we're going to fix that right now. All right, so let's convert, well, let's move that to level 3, and then this will convert to a pattern. That will move it down to level 3, but patterns sit on top of objects, I think. Okay, so let's find our hitbox and then make some of our adjustments. That's pretty good. Always make those adjustments later. It's pretty good. So automatically, just right off the bat, it looks like they are merging together well. We'll enable the edge blur. Let's get rid of any color just by making it white. The override color should just be white if you want it to be the same. And yeah, let's give it a little more blurred range. So good. All right, so they're merging. We can make our fine tunements here, depending on which texture we want to win in the transition here. We can adjust those and decide as we go. Kind of like that, these steps up and then this sort of highest platform. It's pretty good. And now let's say I just want like a piece of this texture. Like I just want these bricks because I don't want that in the original texture that it's kind of a hole in it. I just want it to look flat. So I just literally copied the one I just made. And now I bring it over here and I'm just isolating the bricks in the middle. And now I merge these two together. I mean, that's looking pretty good. That looks like one piece of floor. Pretty outstanding. And yeah, I mean, that's good. I've got my adjustments, but you know what? They're kind of repetitive. They sort of are following the exact same thing. So I'm just going to rotate this. And then I'm gonna make it bigger. So I'm just isolating the tiles. And then I'll just make some more adjustments here. I mean, that's nice. That's kind of what I'm going for. Right now I've got this like nice flat roof. I think that's probably good enough. But just like that, we just did it. So that's it. I mean, that's the power of this system. And congrats to Uchideshi. I already saw another mod that he's put in here that I'm going to play around with. But why don't I just show you one more thing? Let's just take one of these merchant stalls that have some great canopies, right? And maybe you really like that piece of the art. And so let's just kind of drop this in here. And we say we want to isolate this canopy and maybe we want to put something different underneath it. So let's change this. I'll change it to a pattern. And then really quickly, let's just kind of edit our points. We'll get rid of everything but the canopy. And I really got the support sticking out. So let's keep that. Same thing on that side. And that's pretty good. We could refine that. We could blur the edges, but I just wanted to give you an idea, just some inspiration. And so let's grab some crates. Let's drop those down to level 200. Just kind of put them underneath there. I mean, level of effort to end result, pretty good ratio. Let's do this. Let's make a drop shadow of the exact same shape. So we'll put that to the back. We'll give it a custom color, black at 50%. And that is our drop shadow. We just drop that in there. It's those little details, maybe no one else will notice but you. But to have your crates kind of slightly covered from the sun is pretty great. So hopefully this inspired you guys. Let me know in the comments. Certainly give some congratulations to Uchideshi if you like this kind of work. You want to encourage more of it. And let me know if you think there's any improvements that he might do to this, just from a UX perspective. And in the meantime, again, feel free to grab the latest release. You get everything we've ever released with just a single month. So if you like Dungeondraft assets and you want to pick up tens of thousands of new ones, you can go get those right now for I don't know, like $6, I think is our dungeon draft here. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this, and thanks for tuning in. Thanks for supporting the channel. If nothing else, just give a like and leave a comment. Those two things are amazing to help get our channel advertised to other people. And in the meantime, have fun making your maps.